The doorbell rings, and something inside you immediately tightens, not because you dislike people, not because you're unfriendly, but because the thought of someone entering your space feels like they're interrupting something deeply personal. For years, you may have wondered why. Carl Jung believed the answer has nothing to do with being antisocial. It has everything to do with how your inner world is built. But before we go any further, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt the same way when your phone rings? Not just the doorbell, the phone, a random call from someone you didn't expect. That same tightening, that same immediate resistance. Many people who hate having visitors also feel this way about their phone. They let it ring, they don't answer, they wait for it to stop, and then they feel guilty about it. But here's the thing, your brain doesn't see a difference between the doorbell and the phone. Both are the same thing to your nervous system. An unannounced intrusion, a demand for your attention that you didn't ask for. And Jung would say, this isn't rudeness. This is your psyche protecting its boundaries. Beat 2, the turn. So, why does this happen? Why does your body react this way to something as normal as a doorbell or a phone call? Carl Jung spent his life studying people like you. And what he found was simple, but most people still don't understand it. Different people's nervous systems work like different radio frequencies. Some people are tuned to a frequency that gets stronger with more signals. More people, more noise, more input. They thrive on it. Every conversation boosts them. Every visitor adds to the signal. But your frequency works differently. Too many signals at once, and your reception breaks down. Not because you're weak, but because you're tuned to pick up things other frequencies completely miss. The detail in someone's voice that tells you they're not okay. The tension in a room that nobody else notices. The weight of an unspoken thing that everyone else walks past. You pick all of it up all the time without choosing to. And that's the part nobody sees. They think you're standing in a quiet room, but you're not. You're receiving every signal in it. The mood your guest brought through the door, the expectation in their questions, the emotional weather of the entire house. A person on a different frequency can have 5 visitors and feel nothing. You can have one visitor and feel everything. And when someone enters your home uninvited, they don't just enter a room, they enter your frequency, and the signal becomes overwhelming. That tightening you feel when the doorbell rings, that's not rudeness. That's your receiver telling you the signal is already at full capacity. Jung called this introversion, but that word has been misunderstood for 100 years. It doesn't mean you dislike people, it means your system is built for depth, not volume. And depth requires a clear channel, and a clear channel requires something the modern world keeps trying to take from you silence. Beat 3, the rise, but it's not just about receiving signals. There's a second thing happening, and this one costs even more. Think about what happens when you speak a second language. You know it well enough. You can hold a conversation. People around you don't even notice the effort it takes. But inside you're working, every sentence is a small translation from what you actually think to what is appropriate to say, from how you actually feel to what is acceptable to show, from your real pace to the pace of the conversation. This is what happens to you every time someone enters your home. You begin translating, you translate your silence into small talk. You translate your real thoughts into safe ones. You translate the face you'd naturally make into the face a host is supposed to make. And translation is exhausting in a way that native speakers will never fully understand. Because for them, conversation is just conversation. But for you, it is constant, invisible labor. And here's what makes it harder you can't tell anyone you're doing it. Because the moment you say, this is effort for me, the other person feels like a burden. And they're not a burden. That's the whole point. You might love them, you might be glad they came, and it can still be Both things are true at the same time. This is why some people feel exhausted long after the visitor has left. It's not the conversation that drained them, it's the translation. And the moment the door closes, you stop translating. And the relief of that is something that has no equivalent in any language. That quiet after they leave, that's not emptiness. That's your mind finally speaking its first language again. That's you coming back to yourself. And the longer the visit, the longer the return takes. Sometimes hours, sometimes the whole evening. This isn't weakness. This is what it costs to run two languages in one mind. Beat 4, the peak. Now, I want to talk about something that almost nobody discusses. Because most people who feel this way don't just struggle with visitors, they struggle with something else. Knowing someone is coming. The dread that starts the moment you know a visitor is on their way. Not when they arrive. Before that, the waiting, the anticipation, the slow build of tension as the time gets closer. Some people say this is worse than the visit itself, because at least when the person is there, you can get through it. But the waiting, that belongs entirely to you, and it can ruin your entire day. You plan around it. You can't fully relax. You keep checking the time. You feel the pressure building, and by the time they arrive, you're already exhausted. Here's why: your receiver doesn't wait for the signal to arrive, it starts tuning in early. Your whole system prepares for the translation before the first word is even spoken. And that preparation is real work. Invisible work, work nobody thanks you for. Now, remember what I said about the phone at the beginning? Let's go deeper there. Because the phone is where this shows up the most. The phone rings, you look at the screen, you know exactly who it is. You have nothing against them, and you still don't answer. You watch it ring, you wait for it to stop, and then this is the part nobody admits. You send a text: "Sorry, missed your call. What's up?" You didn't miss the call. You watched it happen, and you felt guilty about it. But here's what was actually going on. A phone call is a visitor that doesn't knock, it arrives in real time. It demands live translation right now at its pace, not yours. A text is different. A text lets you translate on your own time, in your own space, at your own pace. You can read it when you're ready, answer it when you have the words. Your nervous system knows the difference even if you've never said it out loud. That's why some people keep their phone on silent permanently, not because they don't care. Because a ringing phone is a doorbell that fits in a pocket. It means the intrusion can happen anywhere. At dinner, in bed, in the middle of a thought you were finally having. The door used to be the only entrance. Now, there's an entrance in every room. And for a person built like you, that's not convenience. That's exposure. This is also why some people prefer to visit others instead of hosting. When you visit someone else, you can leave when you've had enough. When someone visits you, you're trapped. You can't ask them to go without seeming rude. So you stay and you feel the clock ticking and you wonder how much longer this will last. This isn't about hating people. This is about protecting your time, protecting your energy, protecting the one place where you don't have to translate for anyone. Beat 5, the climax. But what if you live with someone? What if your partner or your family doesn't feel the same way? What if they want visitors? What if they don't understand why you need the door closed? This is where it gets even harder. Because now it's not just about protecting your space from strangers, it's about protecting it from the people you live with. And before we go further, let's be honest about something: the hiding. Because if you're built this way, you've done it. Maybe today, the doorbell rings and you freeze. You don't move, you don't make a sound, you turn the TV down, you peek through the curtain, and you wait in your own home for the person on your doorstep to give up and leave. And if you live with people, the hiding gets more subtle. You stay in your room when guests are over. You wear headphones sometimes with nothing playing. You listen before opening your door, checking if the hallway is clear. You time your trip to the kitchen for when the living room empties. You move around your own house like a guest who wasn't invited. From the outside, this looks strange. From the inside, it makes complete sense. Because you're not hiding from the person, you're hiding from the demand. The demand to translate, the demand to receive a signal your system has no room for, the demand to become the version of you that other people can understand. And here's the psychology underneath it. When a person hides in their own home, it means the home has stopped feeling like theirs. The walls are the same, the rooms are the same, but the ownership is gone. Your home has become a stage, and you never auditioned. This is something almost no one talks about because society tells us that if you love someone, you should want to share your space with them. But for some people, love and shared space are two different things. You can love your partner deeply and still need time alone in your own home. You can enjoy your family and still feel drained when they fill every room. This doesn't make you cold. It makes you someone who needs different conditions to feel like yourself. The problem is, most people don't know how to explain this, so they feel guilty. They force themselves to be social when they don't have the energy. They say yes when they want to say no. They leave their own bedroom to go sit in a living room full of noise, and they call it love. And slowly, they start to lose the thread of who they are. Jung would say this is dangerous because when you consistently ignore what your psyche needs, you don't just get tired. You start to feel like a stranger to yourself. The translated version of you becomes the only version that exists. And that's not living, that's performing. Beat 6, the resolution. So, where does that leave you? Jung believed that the people who need solitude the most are often the people with the most to give. Think about a lighthouse. Its entire purpose is to send light out into the world, to guide ships through darkness, to warn of danger, to be seen from miles away. But here's the thing most people never think about. A lighthouse cannot send light if there's no light inside it. It has to be maintained, it has to be protected, the flame has to be kept burning in the quiet, away from the storm, not so it can stay dark forever, but so that when it shines, it actually means something. You are that lighthouse. Every time you close the door, every time you protect your silence, every time you choose yourself over a social obligation you didn't have the energy for, you are maintaining the flame, not so the world never sees your light, but so that when you finally do open the door, when you finally do choose to let someone in, what you offer them is real, it is full, it is actually yours to give. The people who love you, the real ones, don't need your light every hour of every day. They need it to be true when it shines. And a light that never rests doesn't shine truer. It just burns out. You cannot guide anyone through the dark if you have let your own light go out. So the next time the guilt comes, and it will come, remember what you actually are. You are not the person who closes the door. You are the person who keeps the flame. Beat 7. What to actually say. Now, one last thing, because understanding this is not enough. You still live in a world where the doorbell rings. So let's get practical. What do you actually say? When someone texts, I'm in the neighborhood, can I stop by? You don't have to invent an excuse. You say this. Today's not good for me, but I'd love to see you. Can we plan for this weekend? Look at what that does. It's not a rejection, it's a relocation. You're not closing the door on the person. You're moving the visit to a time when your light is actually on. And people accept a boundary far more easily when it comes with an alternative. When the phone rings and you can't take it, let it ring. And later, text this. Saw your call. I'm not great on the phone, but tell me what's going on. That one sentence does three things. It acknowledges them, it tells the truth about you, and it moves the conversation to a channel you can actually handle. And with the people you live with, the hardest ones. Don't wait until you're hiding in your own hallway. Say it before the resentment builds. I need 1 hour alone when I get home. After that, I'm yours. An hour is not rejection, an hour is maintenance. You are not asking them to live without your light. You are asking for the time it takes to keep it lit. And here's the most important part: you don't owe anyone a long explanation. You don't need to mention Jung or frequencies or translation. You don't need to win a debate about your own nature. You just need to be clear. Clear and kind and consistent. Because the people in your life will learn your rhythm the same way ships learn the rhythm of a lighthouse. Not because you explained it, but because you kept it. And one day, without anyone naming it, the people who love you will start to understand: when your door is closed, it isn't them being shut out, it's your light being kept on. And when it opens, and it will open, what comes out of it will be worth the wait.